Hello, this is Bobby Tewksbury with AB Athletic Development and part 2 of the Don't Get Your Foot Down clip. Ran out of time for YouTube's limit, so we got to look at Albert Pujols a little closer. I chose this clip of Pujols because his foot actually does not come off the ground ever, which may seem to contradict the Don't Get Your Foot Down early nature of this video, but the whole concept behind not getting the foot down early is to create this load that is dynamic and not a position. And what we'll see with Pujols is that even though his foot doesn't actually come off the ground, he is still establishing, getting back, and creating this dynamic load and getting all the components, all the same sequences are occurring even though his foot doesn't come off the ground. And there's a bunch of guys in the big leagues that do this, so it's not something really abnormal. Even Miguel Cabrera will sometimes keep his foot down and not go with that higher leg kick that we looked at in the first clip. So we get Pujols to release of the ball. We can see that his front heel comes off the ground, and it's almost, it gets up on like the point of his shoe. And at this point, the front foot becomes very unweighted. I don't know if it's 100%, if it's 95%, but the back leg is very, very much in control. By feel, he's very back. And the more you hit, the more you swing, you get to understand what that means more. When the ball's released, we can see that he's going to have some forward movement with his pelvis. Everything's going to kind of turn and get forward after the ball is released, and this is something that we have seen in all the other hitters who get back and then move forward after the ball is released. And that, in my opinion, is the most important part of the whole stride and foot down early or not foot down early. When kids get their foot down, their pelvis stops moving. They just get their foot down and then that's it. They sit there and wait for the ball. And there's no athletic movement after that. It's just a push to the ball, especially when the kids are being taught, throw your hands at the ball, take the knob to the ball. Even Pujols, if you listen to him in interviews and various clips you can find online, he talks about throwing the hands to the ball. That's what he thinks he does, or that's his swing thought, which is fine, as long as you go through all of the other pieces that he has in his swing, where he does not throw his hands to the ball from right here, which is what most people will instruct. So his foot is down, hands are at a point that could be considered back, but this is where the swing and the load really starts. His hands are at a point where they have not gone back yet. From here, the hands will initiate the swing. At this point, this is like the Ryan Braun clip, where it is what I'll call a running start, and this is a term that's used through various forums online, and something that I really like, where if you swing from that static position, if he were to swing from right here and just go forward, his swing is going to be a push. It has to be a push. His hands are in the front of his body, the body will turn forward, and the hands are in front of the body, so it has to be a push. What he does with his hands is takes the hands back. The barrel will also start a very aggressive movement rearward. It gets turned backwards. He's not going forward with the barrel. It's starting to turn, and backwards will eventually turn forward. Very quickly will turn forward. So again, this is from the portion of the swing that we talked about yesterday, where the hands are not going forward when the back hip turns forward, which is what I had always been taught, what I expected to look at when I looked at his swing. So the barrel goes back, the pelvis is turned forward, the back hip is still closed, which is why we need to differentiate between rear hip and the pelvis. The two hip joints where the legs meet the pelvis at the acetabulum, so the head of the femur goes into the pelvis. Those joints need to be talked about differently than the pelvis itself. We'll get into that more in another video, but looking at this, even though his foot is down, getting back to the main topic, his foot is down, but his pelvis movement is where the real striding action is occurring. From here, he starts his load. The hands go up and back, and all of this dynamic movement, which he starts so late, the ball is about halfway to the plate when this is starting. That's where the shortness to his swing happens. That's where the real explosive, quick, sudden piece of the swing occurs. So that's what it looks like from the front, and I got the side view where we can start to see what this forward part really looks like. So this is what I was talking about, where it's hard to study video just from one side. We need to build a more three-dimensional image in our heads of what's actually happening. So we can see from the side view that there's actually a lot of tipping action with the barrel. He's got some lean over at the waist. I'll just call it lean for now. And you can see that there's really some forward movement going on. He's not just staying in one place. We can see the back hip, or the whole pelvis is shifting forward while it's getting closed. And from there we can start to see how much the hands are actually moving up and back, how much the barrel is actually moving as this ball's coming towards the plate. Now, from here to the ball, this is where I think he's thinking, I throw my hands at the ball, which is okay, because at this point in the swing, things are happening so fast, and he's still achieving the different positions that need to happen, where that arm is, the rear elbow is down, hands are still up, the left arm is up, the pelvis is open, the rear hip is closed. There's so many pieces that he does that never get instructed to other people. So if you've ever faced pitching that is 85 miles per hour or higher, you know that it's hard to get on top of the ball, that you need to think about getting on top of the ball. And I'm not trying to say that you should eliminate that as a swing thought, but if you don't have these pieces in the swing, you're not going to achieve the same movement patterns that Albert Pujols achieves, or other great hitters that we looked at achieve. The look of knob to the ball through here is coming from his whole body turning forward. Everything is turning forward. So the hands relative to his body are turning a little, they are going a little bit forward so that the barrel can get to the ball. That's more of a directional thing. If you look at a ton of Pujols video on an outside pitch, they don't go forward as much. They don't have to because of the pitch location. So how far the hands move forward is more of a lateral adjustment versus a go get the ball adjustment. So we can see the barrel turning very deep, and that barrel is really taking this deep, deep path. It lags behind the body's rotation almost immediately. Right here, the barrel's starting to lag. Now it's turning, 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 turning. And all of this is happening because of the dynamic load that he has. So just like we looked at Braun, we could get Pujols all the way to probably here, where he's not committed to the pitch. Maybe even there. That might be a little too far. But he can get all of this motion and then still stop the swing because he has not committed yet. That is all of his loading move. And if you just get the front foot down early and you just stop and get the hands back, be safe with, I want to see the ball, I want to give myself time, put the foot down, get the hands back, you're not getting this movement. You're not getting this dynamic load, which he could continue. He could stay close with the pelvis and load against that, load against this. When the pelvis opens and the hands go back, the resistance that's felt is the load. And it's a hard thing to communicate, especially looking at video. But this is the movement that makes his swing so special. And it is his load. The load is the beginning of the swing. It's not a commitment to the swing. Just like we looked at in that Braun clip. So, this is what I want to show with Pujols. Take one more look at the front. So we know now that he's getting a pretty significant tip with the bat there, even though it doesn't necessarily look like it from the front view. He's getting pretty forward with his pelvis, shifting forward, and then everything gets that really, really aggressive change of direction. And he gets really on top of that ball, which actually wasn't inside, but had to get on top. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to making more videos, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you very much.